Hi and welcome back. So now in this video we are going to look at how we can use AWS CodeCommit. So AWS CodeCommit is built off the popular open source code software that's known as Git. So Git is a very popular versioning control system that's used by a lot of developers in a lot of companies. So if you're working with source control versioning, you will definitely be using Git. One of the most popular online Git repositories is GitHub. This is a fully managed service that's provided by AWS. So here you don't need to worry about the underlying infrastructure. So you don't need to spin up servers or instances, install the software, and then start using AWS CodeCommit. Everything is managed for you behind the scenes. All the repositories, this is a good aspect when it comes to security, because remember, we are dealing with source code over here. So security is very important. So all the repositories are encrypted both at rest and in transit. You can also easily work with the repositories which are created in AWS CodeCommit using the Git command line. Now we'll go through an introduction on how we can actually use AWS CodeCommit. It's pretty easy. We'll just create a simple repository, upload a file, and just see how it works. Most probably you will be using online repositories such as GitHub, and you will normally use the AWS code build tools and the code pipeline tools with GitHub. But just as an introduction to show you how CodeCommit works, let's go on to the AWS console and see the working of AWS CodeCommit. So here we are in the AWS console. So if you go on to the entire development tools section, you will see the different developer tools that are available in AWS. So let's start with CodeCommit. So we're not going to go too in-depth into CodeCommit because most probably you might be using external tools for your source code version management. It's very easy to use AWS CodeCommit. So you can go ahead and create a repository. You can give a name for the repository. After you give a name for the repository, you can go ahead and create the repository. Here you have the ability to define events. So if you have any pull or push events or commit events, you can actually create notifications to an SNS topic. For the moment, we can just skip this and ensure that our repository is created. It will then give you the steps of how to connect to the repository from your Git command line. So if you've installed Git command line, you can use these commands to connect to the repository in AWS CodeCommit. So now your repository is present. It's very easy to start uploading files. You can just go ahead, click on add file. You can either create a file from scratch or even upload a file. So you could create a simple txt file. Say this has hello world. You can just give a name for the file. So you can say that this is hello world.txt. You can provide an author name and what is the email address. So this is normal when you're actually working with Git or uploading files. You can commit the file, and then your file will actually now be part of your source code repository. And this is made to the master branch. So it's actually so easy to start working with AWS CodeCommit. There is no rocket science in how AWS CodeCommit works. The entire bread and butter, the bulk of actually using this AWS core tools comes in AWS code build and AWS code pipeline, which we're going to see in the subsequent chapters. Right, so that's it from a demo of how to use the AWS CodeCommit service. So now let's move on to the next video in our course, which is using AWS code build.